Hi there, and welcome to the Homestead Education Podcast. Do you have a homestead, farm, or just dream of a rural life? This is a show to help you and your kids grow your own food and grow as a person. I'm your host, Kody Hanner. I'm a homesteader, homeschool mom of six, and small town enthusiast. I was raised by an old school rancher and blessed by the grace of God to have been exposed to so much of what rural life has to offer. Join me every week to talk about homesteading, homeschooling, and growth with a homestead education. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Homestead Education Podcast. I'm here today with one of those awesome guests that I have met on the road, Stacey Carpenter from Hoppin' Ridge Ranch, and we're going to have a little chat about byproducts in the animal industry and wool. So thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So I want to we're going to lead up to all the good stuff, but why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself, what you guys do, that type of thing.
Well, I am a wife and a mom. My husband was in the military for 23 years. And when he retired, I said, "What do you want to do with your life?" Um, and he said, "I want to be a farmer." I said, "Okay, let's go be farmers."
That's
I'm,
better than my husband when he got out. He was like, I did my time. I don't want to do anything. I'm like, guess what? You're going to be a farmer. He's like, cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah. See, there you go. There you go. Um, So I said, okay, let's go be farmers, not knowing that it entailed moving to a completely blank piece of property, building up our homestead, raising, our kids who were in seventh grade and ninth grade at the time, and and falling in love with animals. I mean, being in the military, we had rabbits and things like that, but never like animals. And now, of course, we have
Hmm.
sheep and goats and alpacas and cows and yeah and so it's been a really interesting life. um I am
It's definitely a big change taking older kids to a homestead. Our oldest was a freshman when we moved to our large homestead.
yes, yes, our oldest was a freshman and our youngest was in seventh grade. And so at first they embraced everything because being military kids, they're like, oh, it's all good, we can do it all. And now they've honed into what they really love. And yes, they've kind of stepped away from the homestead, but we know that they're still here and around, and if we need them. So our youngest is at WSU and our oldest is engaged and getting ready to move. And so
Oh,
it's our homestead is now evolving into the empty nester homestead. And now Shane and I are just working on trying to find what we love also. So he loves doing hay and I love my sheep. So it kind of works out
that's
really well.
perfect.
Yeah, yeah,
It's actually funny. I was an animal science major and
yeah.
always knew I was going to work with animals and hated gardening. And my husband is convinced that you have to have like the largest garden in the whole world. And now he runs all of our animal stuff and I handle the gardens. And it's
Oh, there
mainly,
you go.
yeah, like I thought I had a black thumb until I moved to Idaho. And I even grew up in California where you can grow anything. And um, hey guys, I know that we are always looking for ways to connect our homeschool kids with our communities and find things to do when we're out and about. Plus, it is so important to be connecting with like-minded families and those that have the same interests that we do. That's why I'm so excited to announce the new app that just launched. Basecamp Ed is a community-based platform for parents to find like-minded families and dedicated teachers in their area. Whether you homeschool your children, are curious about it, or simply want to build a community of extracurricular activities, Basecamp Ed has you covered. Connect with local parents to create co ops, form groups for your children's interests, and use the calendar to schedule events with ease. Teachers and coaches can also create profiles to list their credentials for parents to find a way to supplement subjects and activities. Homeschooling was never meant to be done alone. It takes a village. Build it with Basecamp Ed. Take advantage of this free resource and download it today. You can also follow them on Instagram and Facebook at Basecamp Ed app for the latest updates. And you can get the link to that in the show notes for this episode. And um, it's mainly because of the way our schedules just work. And like with me traveling a lot during times that animals need, I mean, you can't travel and take care of animals. And then the garden I can kind of do in between and set up like waterers. And my kids, like, they water the starts when they're still in the house and I'm gone and stuff. So
Well, that's why you need wool pellets.
exactly. So okay, first off, like, what kind of sheep do you raise? Like, we got to
I
know.
have I have polypay sheep. So they were
Really?
developed in Idaho. They are a mixture of four different breeds of sheep, like fin sheep and things like that. And the farmer who made it made them for durability and meat and wool and having multiple births. So yeah, yeah,
That's interesting. I kind of grew up in sheep country in California.
yep.
It was there was a big sheep research facility where we lived, like a range facility, and like everyone I knew pretty much raised sheep, all like in the mountains, just like our cattle. Like the McNabb dogs that people use to raise sheep were from where I grew up, and like so it was a big thing, and it was a big industry. And the same year, well, 2 years after I graduated from college, which I worked in food safety and worked with small farms, and our local USDA slaughter plant shut down, and
Oh
the
no.
only place that took wool from small producers shut down. And it was a big issue. Like, what we weren't even like that extremely rural. We were only a couple hours north of like the Bay Area and stuff. And I mean, people had nowhere to take any type of small scale farming animals or byproducts. And it was, I mean, the whole community was like up in arms. And they were trying to come up with the money to do like a co-op for a wool processing facility. And it just wasn't like coming to fruition. And honestly, I moved a couple years later and I don't know exactly what happened with it. But that always stuck with me when I'm working with small farmers, especially with the increase of small scale farmers and homesteaders over the last several years. There's now, what do we do with our byproducts? And there's a
Right.
lot of people that, they're resourceful with it, but not the modern homesteader, most of them are not sitting at home spinning wool. There's just not time for it.
Close.
Maybe
Yeah, no,
maybe one day when I'm an empty nester, I really want to try it, but
you
I don't
don't
know.
have.
I love handcrafts, so and I never make time for them. So maybe when I'm an empty nester one day. But I know I don't think I'm ever going to be an empty nester because my youngest is 5, and so grandkids are gonna, and my oldest is 21, so grandkids are
Oh,
going
yeah.
to be coming anytime now, and
Yes.
yeah. But yeah, there's not time for that sitting and spinning, and even the homesteaders and small farmers that are doing some sort of handcrafts or crocheting and stuff. A lot of them are still sending their wool out, even if or just buying it. So,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of people who just have wool, and I see it all the time. I have wool. What do I do with it? People trying to sell it, giving it away. I'll go get it once in a while and use it for something. But um, you, when I met you, you had something to share. And I was immediately excited, probably to the point that you thought I was a weirdo.
I did not. I was just excited that somebody else found, my product, exciting. So, yeah.
So I would love it if you would just kind of tell everybody what you do, like in that conversation.
Well, the fun part is that I get to take the dirty, nasty wool, the stuff, the bellies and the legs and the stuff that people don't really have a use for, and we turn it into wool pellets. And wool pellets can be used for like your gardens and your house plants, things like that. Um,
What do you use them for?
what do oh
Like what do
well
they do for your garden?
well, the basics of them is that they maintain moisture, which is very cool. Wool can absorb 20 to 30% of its weight type thing. And as it maintains that moisture, it makes aeration at the bottom where the roots are, because you're going to put these wool pellets really by your roots of your plants, your house plants, your gardens, things like that. And so they're absorbing all this moisture.
So they go
And
above, or like do you bury them with your plants?
it depends on certain things. Like, you do want to bury them with your plants, with your roots, because that's where they're going to do the most good. That's where they're holding that water. They're making wonderful aeration. They're holding it, and then they're releasing it when those roots start growing out and your plants start growing up. Now, if you have snails and slugs in your garden, you're going to sprinkle some on top because it's going to repel them. And because snails and slugs apparently don't like going over wool, the smell of it, the lanolin, things like that.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So
Um, so and then wool also breaks down really good as a fertilizer, right?
it, well, it's not a fertilizer, it's a soil amendment.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no, no. It's because it it's a soil amendment. It's biodegradable. It takes about 6 months to break down in your garden, which is very cool. And it gosh, I don't even know how to say all this. Um,
It's
it
okay.
oh, it all right, hold up. It retains water, and then you reduce your water usage by 30% roughly is what they're saying. Um, oh gosh, my brain is just boop.
No, it's too
Um,
early in the morning. I get it.
Not really. I mean, I know this and I say it every day, and so I'm so sorry.
It
Um,
is totally fine.
yeah. It oh, it does break. It takes about 6 months to break down.
I just
Which is
Googled it real quick. It has, when it
which has
breaks
a term.
down, it
Yeah,
has nitrogen, sulfur, and magnesium
phosphorus. Yeah,
and
yeah.
phosphorus.
When as it
Awesome.
starts to break down, like
And it
it
says as little as 4 months. That's amazing.
yes.
Like you could
Mhm.
shear in the summer and get it on your like garden in the fall.
Yep, right. So as you shear, we turn into pellets. You put it in your garden at the beginning of the growing season. You've got your little plant. You're just going to put like 4 to 6 in there. It's now retaining water. It's growing. It's helping your plant grow. Then it's making as it's absorbing the water, it's making wonderful aeration pockets. And this creates little pockets, obviously, in your soil so that your roots can breathe and expand. And then obviously they start to grow up, which is wonderful. And then it breaks down. So it's already starting, once it starts absorbing that moisture, it then starts to break down and it's moving and it's giving our roots healthy stuff. And so it's breaking down and it's slowly releasing at that point in time over those 4 to 6 months, this phosphorus and this nitrogen and this, so it helps your roots be really healthy. So then your plants are stronger and healthier. Um,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
amazing. So you
yeah.
said 4 to 6 per plant. How big are the wool pellets?
Um, Gosh, they're like a quarter of an inch
Oh, okay.
meters. They're super
That's what
small.
I thought. That's what I thought because I have a little
Yeah,
packet of them
yeah, yeah.
somewhere.
Somewhere.
I think they're in my inbox somewhere
Oh, it's okay.
so that I'd
Yeah,
remember to message you.
so they're super, super small. They look just
So
like that.
yeah, when you said only 4 to 6 per
Yep.
spot, I was like, wow, are they like an inch or something? But no, they're
Yeah.
just tiny.
Yeah. And then, so you've already got let's just say you're using this for your house plants because you're wanting to go on vacation or you're just wanting to water less, or it's the
Hmm.
winter time and your
Or I
heat,
forget to water.
or you forget to water, or your heater's kicking on and off. And so as you want to do all this, you just take it. I use a chopstick and we just punch it down in there next to the roots as quickly as not as quickly, but as
Yeah.
nicely as we can. We get it right down by the roots. And so it's an all-around great product.
Yeah.
project.
Ah, hey,
Yeah.
it's a project too.
Yes. And you can use them anytime. So what they're saying, what I've done some research on, is that certain universities have been using these. And the wonderful thing is like they're keeping their soil warmer over the winter and they're keeping it cooler over the summer, just like wool does. And so you're able to do things with your gardens at certain times of the year that you weren't able to do later on. Uh,
That's
yeah.
interesting to think about. Yeah.
And we've been using them here on the ranch. We're putting them around our trees to help our trees be healthier. And the one thing, we're right here in Washington, probably pretty close to you.
I was gonna
And
say we're probably pretty because you're like I'm all the way at the Canadian border over in Idaho, but like you guys are kind of like straight over the mountains from me almost, huh?
right, right. We're just north of Spokane.
Oh
So
yeah.
in Deer Park, yeah.
I think
So
Deer Park's actually colder than where we are.
gosh, I hope not.
It is because we're in the Kootenai Valley.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
so the river keeps our temperature really stable. So like even just people who live 200 feet higher in elevation than us are in a different growing zone. So
Yes. Yes. So, I mean, around here we say wait for the snow to be off Mount Spokane before you plant. Um,
yeah, I think
but
we use Baldy Peak or something like that.
yep, yeah. This year we had friends who used wool pellets um but way before the mountain snow melted and their plants are doing really great. Um,
That's good to know because I always want to start my like my spring vegetables, but I
yes.
mean we don't even have snow gone sometimes until early
First,
May.
yeah, yeah,
And but then it says in our area we should be planting them in like end of March, early April, and I'm like, good luck with that. So
yeah.
like and honestly,
So crazy.
with all the rain, I still don't even have my gardens in, and it's the middle of June or May right now.
Yeah, yeah. We're almost to the end. Wow. It's been a weird year. We were just looking at the fact that we might be able to get our first cutting of hay here next week. And I'm like,
Right? People are cutting here already.
yeah, yeah. We had a friend of ours cut already. And I was like, oh man, whew,
Right.
I don't know. You're all,
But you might get a third cutting this year, so that's always awesome.
I just want to get a second.
Right? I mean,
Second cutting.
my husband does all the mechanics for the neighbors. If he keeps all their equipment running, then we get a truckload of hay every year.
Yay.
Which I mean, it's not an if, like he's just their mechanic, and then that's our pay at the end of the year. Um, but yeah, they're already working on their first cuttings, and so if they do that now,
Uh-oh, we froze.
we will. Oh
My
yeah,
internet
but it's
is
okay.
messing.
I can still hear you. So,
Okay, good.
yeah.
I
And
couldn't hear
sometimes
you.
it's recording from both sides and then gives it to me. So
Okay. Okay. So yeah, that is just the basics of wool pellets. They're a simple product to make. We just take your dirty, nasty wool, we put it through a crusher, we put it through a pelletizer, and it pops out wool pellets. Um, and then you're able to use them in your garden. It's it's the one nice thing that, you know, it's an easy process. We don't have to add anything. Yes, you might have some organic material in these pellets. Like when you bring it to me, your sheep rolled in their hay all year long, and they
right.
have just of it everywhere. The organic material from waste and things like that, it doesn't hurt anything. It makes it stronger and better
hmm
for your plants and stuff. So yeah, so that's one of the things that we do with.
So are these crushers and pelletizers, are they like expensive?
So it just varies. Um,
hmm
we went with an American company. We obviously, my husband being military, we are very
Yep.
pro-American. So we found an American company that makes a pelletizer. Um, and worked with them and talked to them. Really nice guys. When you pick up the phone to call them, they're right there. And I called and said, I think I want to make wool pellets. And he was like, what? I said, yeah. So we bought a big pellet. it's not big. It's actually just a
So these aren't designed for wool, they're designed for like something else.
they are designed to do feed and wood and everything
Oh,
in between.
wow.
And
So you
we
really kind of came up with a fairly new concept.
right. And I'll have to be honest, I this concept of wool pellets has been around for years. Of course, the Europeans did it first.
Yeah.
Um, and they have big, beautiful wool pellet machines that
Hmm.
don't do anything else. Well, you know, living on a homestead, living on a farm and a ranch, that piece of machine that we have, it can't just do one little thing. It really needs to be one of those things that can contribute to doing this and doing this and doing this. So we make wood pellets for people who have barbecue grills and, the egg, the big green egg thing.
Yeah.
We make feed pellets. We do hay. So we make feed pellets for all of our clients and customers and then wool because I have sheep and I need to do something with this wool. I'm not a knitter, I'm not a crafter, that kind of thing. So yeah, yeah. So this all around pellet machine does it all for us. And that's really it's a nice thing. The wool, we always do that at the very end of the day, is when I run my wool through because it cleans it out and it shines it all up and it makes it look pretty again.
That's so smart. And then it's just
Yeah.
picking up those pieces of wood and hay and stuff that's just making it a better product.
Right. Definitely. Definitely. And then we started putting, also through our pellet machines, we put rabbit poop and alpaca poop and we make like fertilizer pellets and we're researching and experimenting. My husband gave me 2 acres of land this year, mixing the manure, the alpaca manure, which is wonderful, and with our wool to make a combined pellet so that when we put it on the ground, on the field with our seed, it's all together.
I
So
love that you're testing it too.
yeah, yeah. I only got 2 acres this year. That's
All right, I want all the data on an Excel sheet. I'm so
okay.
excited. No.
Okay, yeah. No, I can we've been working on it. It's all on an Excel sheet, so that's kind of good. He has it all like programmed out, here's when we have to do this and here's how much we added and then here was how much, alpaca manure because we have alpacas and what do you do with it?
Mhm.
It's perfect for your garden. It's not hot. And so we're combining it all into one and putting it into a pellet and making it work. So,
I really love that.
yeah,
I mean, keeping track of what you're doing on the farm. I think a lot of people who are small scale farmers, they don't see that as, they don't treat it like a business, even if they aren't selling something. But if you're putting money into something, you need to see what you're getting back and how
oh,
to make that better. And I mean, I don't run spreadsheets on everything. I probably should a little more with my milk.
yeah,
But we're still kind of learning. Like we've had the dairy for a few years, but this is the first time we're really like, okay, and we're going to make sure that we're selling all year long and that type of thing. But like
right,
with my pigs, I have it down to the dollar or like to the penny per pound, what goes into them and how much I'm making when we sell them. And, over the winter, it's a different amount because it takes me longer to feed out my pigs in the winter. We raise about
right.
350 hogs a year here.
Ooh. Oh,
Yeah. So I
you
have
have
that.
three. Oh man.
Well, I mean, we sell a lot as like piglets and like large feeders and roasters, and then we keep about a third to a half back to sell retail and whole and half hogs and stuff. So like I have that down to an art. I was an animal science major, so I have all that and what the difference would be like because we feed them a non-GMO feed from a local feed mill,
Right,
but there's another feed mill down the road that doesn't use any corn or soybean. The one we have, corn and soybean is an additive, not the base. The base is barley and peas around here.
right.
You probably know that. But the one we use here, they will add in a little bit of corn and soybean just for whatever they need it for, but it's like the 10th item down on the ingredient list. But a lot of customers have been starting to ask for the corn and soybean free completely. So I'm running a spreadsheet constantly of what the cost of that feed is at the other feed mill we use. So that if any point we decide to make that change, I already know
Hmm.
exactly what that cost is. Because that's what we feed their feed to our breeders. Because they have it's called Pacific Northwest Advantage, and it's all the byproducts from everything that's grown locally, so they can't technically call it non-GMO, but it is.
Right.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
we pay under 400 a ton for our maintenance feed,
Wow.
which is
That's
just
really good.
like unheard of, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes. That when I started tracking how much my sheep were actually costing us, like hay and minerals and water usage, and then shearing, I was like, we have got to start doing something with this wool. Like I
mhm.
said, I am not a knitter, not a spinner, and I do have great wool, but I was like, hmm, I got to find out something else to do. It
Yeah.
it's all this
Well,
wasteful. I didn't want to be wasteful anymore.
mhm.
Um, you
And I
know.
knew, I've always known it's good on the gardens, but like
Yeah,
I kind of have an aversion to like if I touch it and it sticks to my fingernails or something. So I've done it before where I put it like netted it out on my garden and then I get
yeah,
out there and start weeding and I'm like, oh, it's touching me.
yeah.
And then we have a small store here on the farm and we have a pig that is really fat, but he's not a butcher pig. We acquired him.
I understand.
I think he's part potbelly or something.
Yeah.
Um, and so we were going to um build a little pen closer to the house where the store is. And I was like, okay, we'll put, Magoo in there. That's his name.
Yeah.
And then I'm getting some bourbon turkeys that I'm getting them for a reason, but they're going to have a smaller pen. And then the little boys have been asking for the small pygmy goats, and we're not really goat people. So I was like, maybe I should do like, I don't even want to say a petting zoo, but just have all of our oddball animals a little closer to the house where they're more pets than produce, because we don't really do that. Like, if they don't
Yeah.
produce something or provide something to us, we don't want them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I'm like, we don't really want to get rid of Magoo, so let's add to Magoo's pen. So I told my husband I wanted an alpaca,
Oh, fun. You got to have two.
right? Ah, that's what I keep hearing. So he's like, if you build a fence for an alpaca, you can have an alpaca.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, that's your job. And so then a few months later, he goes, I found a really good deal on a purebred brown Swiss bull. And I was like, oh, like, because that's our girls are brown Swiss.
Yeah.
So, and he's gorgeous. I love him. He's like a big teddy bear. But I was like, okay, yeah, let's get the bull. And he's like, but how should we do the management with that? And I was like, well, I don't want him breeding our Angus girls, but we run our whole herd together.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to have another pen for our bull. And
You don't want
steer
that.
when we have steers that are getting ready to be fed out, like we'll put them over with the bull and stuff. Um, so I was like, but we're gonna need another pasture just for the bull. And he's like, okay. And so he gets out there and like builds the fence over the weekend. And I was like, the bull needs a friend. We should get him an emotional support alpaca. And he was like, how did you manage that? I was like, I'm just that good. But I hear that a bull is not sufficient for my alpaca to have a friend. So I'm going to have two.
Or
But what
three.
I, huh? Just right? I just need two.
Yeah.
But what I was thinking is he was like, okay, once we shear it, what do we do with it? And I was like, wool balls. I want alpaca wool balls. And he's
Yeah.
like, are you going to sell them? I'm like, no, I'm going to replace the ones my kids steal every day. But
Yeah.
I mean that was what I had thought of. Like if I'm gonna, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna have a use for him or
Yeah.
her or
Yeah.
whatever. But
Yeah. So,
and then plus with the store, people coming, like we live 45 minutes from town. So for people to come to us, it needs to
right.
be more of an experience than
Yeah.
just picking up their milk and eggs. So
Right. Right. And alpaca fiber, if you mix it with sheep wool, you can also make wool pellets.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it's so fine that it makes like a dust. Um,
Mm.
you put it through the pelletizer. I hate that. But what we have done with our alpaca fiber is, and I'll show it to you.
Okay,
Um,
fun.
okay, so these are what we call fiber mats.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And we take the fiber and it is water, felted, but
Mm-hmm.
what's embedded in them is native wildflower seeds. So wildflower seeds, to our area. So probably your area also.
Mm-hmm.
And then we take these and you can put these anywhere. You put your wool pellets down, you put your fiber mat down. This is all alpaca fiber because we can't do anything else with it. And then you can plant these and they grow a little
I
flower.
was looking at that thinking, how great would that be to keep the weeds down between like in my herb bed?
Yeah, yeah. But they grow flowers. This one does.
Yeah.
But
Well,
you
I
could
mean,
make
I
it,
have such a weed problem. I don't know if you guys have the
yes.
same weed problem we do, but I will never get ahead of the weeds here.
No. Mm-mm. But we
Like,
can't, and then they do make wool fiber mats also, that you can cut up and you can put them on top of your garden. You want them to be the thin ones. So
mm-hmm.
people were taking like the whole wool fleece and putting it on their garden was because it's good for it. But what happens is that your garden then, it makes that little slimy layer, between the soil and the top of the wool. And so nothing was really able to get in, and there's no airflow, things like that. So when you take the wool and you make them into wool pellets and you put them at the bottom by the by the roots and things like that, they start to grow. And when you make like a wool mat, a thin wool mat, then you then you're able to do that very thinly on top
Okay.
plants to keep the weeds out. Yay.
So how do you felt wool? Like, I mean,
I send
I
it off.
know you send it off. Okay.
I do. We do. So, and I do this in conjunction, the wool fiber mats, in
I know
conjunction
how to
with,
make a big chunk of felted wool.
yeah, yeah. We do it in conjunction with a lady, Carrie, with Paca West. So her and I have been working together doing a bunch of things. So,
That's
so it's kind of
awesome.
nice. Yeah.
So yeah,
Um,
you were, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, when you have like 140 pounds of alpaca fiber sitting in your area with all your wool, you're like, oh, I got to find something to do with this too. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so you were talking about putting the wildflowers in
Mhm.
there, the seeds. Can you do that with your pellets too?
Yes, yes. That's what we were just talking about earlier, is that we're putting in the manure and the wool and the seeds all into one, putting them through the pelletizer to make like a seed bomb for,
Hmm.
lack of a better term.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And then it can go right through our cedar. So my husband opened it
Which
up.
is really nice for the small seeds because we use a very small seeder. It's just a push one.
Yeah.
But a lot of times with really small seeds like carrot seeds,
Yep.
we mix it with like dirt and
Yeah.
then run it through.
Yeah.
And then, I'm like, man, I was talking to someone the other day and now I can't think of who it was. Something with fertilizer or something. But yeah, we were like, oh, well, you could mix it with, your fertilizer or even like cornmeal or something like that to spread it out. But if it's already in like a little pellet with everything it needs, that would be
Yeah.
so handy.
Yeah. Yeah. It has been so far. And you can see it really, like there's been weird places where we've just kind of combined them all, and then I threw the bucket out because I didn't know what it was. And you'll see them, like there's been weird places around our ranch where I'm like, oh, I wonder if that's where I did. Oh, I wonder what's gonna pop up. So, um,
Well, that's always fun. Or then there's my son who dropped an entire tray of I had soil blocks with pepper plants in them, and they were
Oh,
all labeled. And I had specifically bought this really neat pack of like all these different like specialty peppers, like white ghost peppers and stuff. And I was so excited to grow all these different peppers. And it was a mini 20 tray. So I mean, there's like 200 plants, and they're all like 2 inches tall, and they look exactly the same. And he dropped it all over the kitchen floor.
oh no. Oh
So
no.
he was bringing them to me to transplant into some bigger pots.
Yes.
And I was like, now what? You know? So, I mean, I just planted them all and I labeled them like peppers, and I'll put them out there. And once start having peppers growing, some of them I'll be able to recognize, some of them I won't. And we might just be surprised with some really hot salsa this year.
Stock up on the Tums.
Right? Oh my goodness. Well, if I can't tell for sure, I might, like if I don't know, I might like put one in with all like my jalapenos that I know, and like it
Yes.
might be just right. So
Yeah. Yeah.
fingers
Oh
crossed.
no, that's so awful.
He's
And I
kind of
know, I'm
he's
sure.
16, but he's going through a phase where he's dropping and breaking everything right now.
That's
Like I
crazy.
am going to lose my mind. Like he broke the chargers for the electric fence. He broke one of those the other day. He was moving, we rotate the cows, and then he just
Yeah.
takes the charger off and moves it to the next spot. Dropped that and broke it. Then last night the cows were pushing on the hot wire fence, so we sent him out to go test it, and he broke the tester. I wanted him to weed eat my garden, and he was trying to get the sprinkler. We have like a tripod sprinkler that we left
Yeah.
it out there over the winter, so the weeds had grown over the hose. And he was trying to get it out and ended up breaking my tripod sprinkler. And I'm
Oh
just
no.
like, dude, stop touching things.
Yeah. He needs some martial arts training.
And he's like, he goes, well, I do my share around the ranch. I do all the milking and we make money off the milk. And I'm like, not enough to cover everything you break. I'm like, you better start
Like,
selling some more milk.
yes. You better get out there and start peddling the milk so you can.
Right? Like, because we don't sell enough milk but we're just kind of, it's our first year of really,
Yeah.
we have Canadian customers that come over because we're right
Right.
on the border and they can't buy raw milk over there, but they can buy it here and take it over.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of our milk goes to the pigs. And so I'm like, dude, like you are not making as much as you break.
That's right. No bacon for you. No sausage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, I
You're
like
cut
it.
off.
Like we've been trying to figure out good, like, he doesn't really have a job because he makes money off of like extra farm products,
Right. Yeah.
and we give him like a percentage of it and stuff. So he doesn't really have a regular job, so I can't really be like, you broke it, you buy it. And we're farmers, so he's working the farm all the time, so I can't be like more chores for.
Hmm.
And my husband goes like, whatever you break, I'm gonna whack you with. And I'm like, I need to think of like another punishment. And like, I think, yeah, I'm gonna withhold his breakfast meat.
There you go. Dude, you don't get milk and you don't get bacon. Sorry.
Oh, he would, if he didn't get milk, he would lose it. That's a good one.
Look,
He
right
might be
here.
up there drinking it at the barn if I take it away from him, though. Like when he transfer, because we milk
Yeah.
one and then he pours it into a bucket and then we milk the other one because we only have one of our we use like the antique belly milkers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so he has to switch in the middle because we have like four more, but my husband rebuilds them, and so we just don't have one going right now. He's gonna be up there like switching one and drinking it in
Yeah.
big straw.
You're like, hey, where did all that milk go?
Right? Are you looking for new ways to advertise your business? I would like to invite you to advertise your business on the Homestead Education Podcast. Did you know that 60% of listeners will make a purchase after hearing an ad on a podcast? Why is this? Because personal connections and credibility from someone they truly trust will give you the best conversions. My podcast has been on the air for over 3 years now, and with an average of 5,000 downloads per episode and tons of long-term listeners, you're bound to have somebody who will find that credibility in me. All ad spots will be promoted on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and my weekly newsletter. I have podcast sponsorship spots available that are affordable for all business sizes. And all advertising revenue will be used towards my educational outreach in the form of travel costs, curriculum development, supplies, and the administration of such activities. Go to my show notes now or visit thehomesteadeducation.com/podcast dash sponsorship. I hope to hear from you soon. We were talking about you can put the seeds in. Can you put other amendments in as well?
Yes, you can. But it's money. It costs a lot, you know. When you're fertilizing your ground, and I just wrote the big check the other day, when you're fertilizing, it's not cheap. The
No.
gypsum, the all the nutrients that your soil needs to stay healthy. Um, and I'm not a lot of that is liquid. So we put it through our sprayer
Your
instead.
sprayer, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Because
this
like
is
I
on
was
the
thinking, oh sorry.
I was going to say this is the wool pellets can be used for large areas, like super large areas,
Hmm.
but it's really best in gardens and houseplants and smaller because it costs a lot. I mean, it takes, when you send it to me, we're charging $8 a pound to process it for you. Um,
Hmm.
when I just sell it, because of shearing and feed and the
Oh
upkeep,
yeah.
and then your time to make the pellet, it's $15 a pound roughly. And that's across the board. Like I've looked at other people who do wool pellets and they're all saying the exact same thing. When I had to, we buy the wool and we're buying it at whatever the process it's roughly 40 cents a pound right now is what the USDA is having us purchase it at. So a lot of wool processors are, you know, out there and they're just trying to break even, just to pay the shearer, just to pay the feed, just to, and then hopefully you're selling all of your animals or whatever, back to other people who want breeding stock or meat or whatever it needs to be.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's
Well,
it's a
and the sheep industry has just it plummeted and it's starting to come back a little, but
just a little.
yeah,
Yeah.
it makes it
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. And the fact that all the big wool processor places have shut down. And we're trying just to find buyers to come in to buy wool. It's been a long process.
I
Um,
can
e-
imagine. I mean, are there even places to sell clean wool as a small scale producer?
Probably yes. Facebook, um, yeah, vending events, things like that. You could sell your clean wool. And if you don't do it yourself, then a lot of places take it. There's a place in Texas that does wool cleaning. And there are some small places around here that do the wool cleaning. But then again, you're getting charged to clean your wool. And so that makes the price to go up. Luckily for me, I don't need that clean wool. I mean, we say
Yeah.
when I'm in the tent, I usually go, hey, the dirtier the better. It goes through it. So
And you guys are paying a share, not sharing yourselves? Loaded question.
oh, I missed it.
Oh, I said, are you guys paying a shearer or are you shearing yourself?
No, no, I have a wonderful shearer.
Oh,
I love
okay.
my shearer. I will keep her till I will pay her. She takes my big old 200-pound ram, flips him on his tushy, and she's done. For
Right.
me, that's a big I
I don't
we
like shearing.
yeah, we could shear, but she can do it all in like, an hour where it would take me days and days and days. So
How many head are you running?
18. I have a small flock. I have a really small
Hmm.
flock here on our ranch. And then We have a lady right down the road, and we run her flock, and she has 21. So we have we're pretty small
Hmm.
compared to other people. But that's the trend now with homesteaders. They're not going out and purchasing, 500 flock of sheep
Hmm.
or 500 sheep. They're purchasing, 5 to 10, the most that they can manage. And yes, your shearers are wonderful, but your feed is great. But you got to find other things to do with all the stuff that your sheep can
Right.
do. Um,
I've really been hoping that we were going to start seeing more co-op style processing options coming up. And I'm not just talking about like sheep and wool, but butchers or marketing groups. It's like I know so many people up here that raise commercial hogs, or not
mhm.
commercial, but like the direct to consumer process. And I just think like I mean, a lot of us have each other's phone numbers, and I have someone call and they go, hey, I have a customer who wants a whole hog like this weekend, and I don't have a way to meet it. Do you?
Right.
Or I'm completely out of piglets, but I have people who need piglets. Do you have piglets? So we all work pretty well together. But I
Yeah.
think like we have the worst time getting into the butcher plant. And then we're having to hustle every single pound of meat,
Hmm.
whether that's via Facebook or the farmers markets, or we're hoping to be shipping this year. And it's that constant, there's no, if I send all my pigs at the end of the month, there's a paycheck. And,
Yep.
I don't want to go into that commercial where I'm taking them to the auction and getting, 10 cents a pound for a 300-pound perfectly good feeder animal. I want to still do the direct to consumer model, but I always wonder like why isn't there more co-ops and things like that popping up that they're handling all the marketing and stuff and you're kind of like selling into that.
Right. Right. And the next thing is that like when you send them to the butcher, you're $100 right off the top. That's their kill
Yeah.
fee. And you're
Hmm.
like, I understand it's a kill fee. And but you can't take it like I would totally task my husband to kill everybody to,
100%. Yeah.
you know, and just be able to take them up there and like, nope, if it's USDA, it's got to be,
Because they have to have that ante-mortem inspection.
right, right. So yeah, we're the same way. We uh we have a small group of people who have sheep and goats and pigs and cows, and we all call each other, hey, I got a phone call from this person or that person. Um, and yeah, it would be nice if a USDA butcher could go to a farm and say, we're going to take all of your lambs, we're going to slaughter them right here, and let's butcher them out because they're I've noticed some of our mobile butchers, they're
Hmm.
actually more sterilized, like everything in there is sterilized versus the USDA butcher that I have to take it to locally. And
Yeah.
and then sometimes you don't get your this is just me. Sometimes I almost feel like I don't get back what I sent
What
them.
you took.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
Uh,
lot of people that say that. And there's our custom butchers, there's our USDA butchers. I love a couple of my custom butchers. They're great. And
yeah.
I can sell my whole and halves through there or our own meat, but I can't
Right.
sell any of my retail. But then I feel like I'm so limited on options because we have one retail butcher in the area or one USDA butcher in the area.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everybody's using that same butcher. So essentially, we're all selling the same products except for the way we feed them or how we market ourselves. Like that's the only edge we have over.
Yeah.
And as far as customizations go, there's like you can't bring in your own seasoning mixes there, like even as USDA. Like, so I can't say like, oh, I want to do a jalapeno sausage or something. Nope. You can't bring in your own stuff.
Right.
Um, you can't get specialty smoked products. Like there's nothing. So I'm literally going and picking up the same product that everybody else is and
Mhm.
and that's why I'm like, maybe I need to, like, for me, I need to start selling online because I have more of a national presence. And so I
Yeah.
can sell beyond my community.
Right.
Like, I have a ton of homeschool families in Arizona that are like, man, if you started shipping, like, you wouldn't have enough meat for us.
Right.
So I'm like, I need to get on it, but it's a big process in itself, and my assistant did just come on full time, so there's space for that now, and I'm very excited. We're ordering like one of those really nice sheds for her office that'll also be
Yeah.
our book shipping facility, but we'll be able to ship our meat, like at least the paperwork of shipping the meat out of there. I prefer packing our meat in our walk-in cooler.
Right.
But it's we've also looked into putting a commercial kitchen on the property so that we can go just get our primals and come home and process. But then
Right.
we have to have, I'm looking into the details on it, but like my husband makes amazing bacon. Like
Right.
I've never tasted bacon like this before in my life. Like it's nothing compares.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I would love to be able to sell that product. But the best I can do right now is if I get a commercial kitchen, I can sell it kind of as like a restaurant style.
Right.
But in order to like package and sell it, I have to have USDA. Even though it's but still butchered USDA, I can't bring it home, package it, and sell it unless I have USDA inspections, which
Right.
would require me building a whole nother facility on my property versus just taking my current meat room that we have and just adding a few things to make it a commercial kitchen, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So,
So it's a real frustration as a small scale operator.
and there's a lot of operators like that,
Hmm.
that feel the same way. Um, and so it's kind of, you know, I think that's the frustration of homesteaders. We used
Hmm.
to be able to butcher it out, take it wherever we needed to, and do what we needed to do with our own livestock and get it back and provide what we wanted to for our families, provide that meat, provide,
Hmm.
whatever it is. And
Yeah.
now it's, oh, we've got to stop. We have to take it to the USDA person, or we have to find a butcher. And butchers are hard to find. Good butchers who, when you go in to, when you take your animal in, they look at it, and you can see the tenderloin, and they're like, "Yep, here it is. It's right here." But then you're like,
Hmm.
okay, the loin should have been this long, should have been really 12 inches long, and I'm only getting like 6. And they're like, "Oh, I gave you 2." Well, okay. Well, I really just wanted one tenderloin, or
Hmm.
I really, and you look at your amount of sausage versus bacon versus, ribs, and you're like, wow, where did all this go? And then you do it at home and you're like, well, s- uh, you know, how did I get this nice slab of bacon here? And I smoked it and now it's really great, or lamb or whatever. And
Hmm.
you're like, oh, okay. So for me, it's a frustration, I'm sure, like everyone else. So,
And I feel
it,
like when we're limited, there it's easier for them to pull that. Like,
right.
and then we had a butcher that we loved, and he started shipping in commercial pigs from out of area,
Oh.
paying next to nothing for them, feeding them out and selling them as a whole butchered hog and undercutting everybody else in our community by 300 bucks.
Yeah, yeah.
But then I
And
can't sell a whole hog to save my life.
right. And then you look at, like, on our end, you look at what in the sheep industry, what meds have gone into those? Have we put CDT into them? Have we put Bosi? Have what, did they have penicillin? Did they need whatever? And I'm sure it goes the same with, I don't really know much about pig
Mhm.
vaccinations,
It's the
but
same idea, yeah.
it's the same idea. Well, some people don't want that in their meat.
Mhm.
I mean, even though that they're some things they have to have. Um,
Yeah, like my 4-H pigs, they have to have them.
yes, yes,
So, because those go into like the commercial meat industry, technically,
right,
you know?
right,
Whereas like the rest of the pigs on our property, we don't have things like CDT with pigs.
right.
There are a couple of diseases that if they're going to be out with other pigs that are highly contagious, but
Yeah.
we have a closed like we have some biosecurity things in place where if people come to look at piglets, we take all the piglets to a pen out front and the kids can go look at them there, and then we carry them back into
Hmm.
like the farrowing crates. So I don't have a bunch of in and out traffic. And so we actually don't vaccinate for anything.
Right.
I do worm every piglet because that's as
Normal.
soon as they're weaned, their system tanks and we raise our pigs on dirt. So
Right.
yes, I'm worming. But if I have one of them that gets sick, like, or, gets an abscess from, fighting with another piglet or something like that, if I give that one antibiotics, I earmark it that it doesn't go into my retail meat because I can't have a conversation with every single person that buys a
Right.
retail and say, hey, this one got a shot, or which package is this? But when I sell like wholes and halves to neighbors and friends and community, then I can say, yeah, we're low input. This one did have an antibiotic shot, and they're like, whatever, like, because they don't want the ones that are pumped full of antibiotics for growth, but
Right.
they are totally fine with you humanely treating an animal. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And the same goes for my sheep. If I notice that they, stems of hay, it seems to get ours.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
those
And
jaw abscesses are
yes,
terrible.
the little jaw abscesses that are not CD or that are not CL, the little jaw
Hmm.
abscesses, and you cut it and you rinse it and you do everything and you give them that shot of whatever they might need, LA 200 or
Hmm.
penicillin or whatever. But yeah, on their ears, we have green tags and then they get like a red mark on their little green tag. Um,
Hmm.
and I know who they are. I have a small flock and
Hmm.
sometimes they go to processors but I make sure that whoever gets that lamb knows, okay, they did have a small jaw abscess. It cleared right up once I cleaned it out and I only had to do it once. And so it's all good, you know. But yeah. So, but then luckily around here we have a nice population of a
Hmm.
nice ethnic population, and so they come out and they butcher their own lambs and things like
That's
that.
nice.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
We used to do a lot of that in California.
yeah, yeah. Now, what part of California are you from?
Northern California, like I grew up in Ukiah, it's in wine country.
Right. Okay. My
Yeah.
husband is from California, but he's like south of Bakersfield
Oh, he's
type.
one of those. Yeah. Okay. No.
Yes. He's in the mountains. No, he's in the
Oh,
mountains,
okay.
like the Santa
My stepdad
Maria,
was from
Santa Barbara.
Bakersfield.
Do what?
My stepdad was from Bakersfield.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
No.
then my husband's from Gridley, which is like just south of Chico.
Oh yeah.
And I went to Chico State, and then that's where I met him. So
Okay. So my sister-in-law went to Chico State. So yeah, yeah.
nice.
We're at that. We helped her move.
Well, we're about to the end of our time.
Yes.
So my favorite question that I like to ask everybody is, what does keep growing mean to you?
Keep growing. Wow. It would mean taking the basics and turning them into something wonderful. Whether it's your
Oh,
family, taking the basics, the core of your family, like my husband and our two girls, and the fact that we're able to provide them with that with education, with a college education, knowing that they're turning out to be wonderful young women who are making themselves productive members of society. Our oldest is now growing into her own family, her own military family. And
oh,
so getting to watch her, prepare to move with her fiance. And then our youngest will graduate college next year. But this year she just got accepted to the University of Queensland. So she's going to get to grow in Australia for
oh my
just
gosh.
for a year. But so to keep growing is just starting with the basis of your family, making it making it that tiny seed, watching it sprout, watching it grow. Um, and then to keep growing with your friends and your family, like your extended family, your friends, your community. Um, and here in Deer Park, we have that. We have a wonderful community of family and friends, and so just to keep growing, that's what it means to me. I mean, just taking a tiny seed and watching it sprout. So,
That's so perfect. I love the answers that I get on this because it helps everybody grow.
Yeah. 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 I mean, we
So,
constantly here at the ranch, we always have, seems like 4-H kids and homeschool kids. I mean, they were just on the ranch yesterday, a group of them. And then we have two that actually work for us, two homeschool and 4-H kids. And they do just such a great job. And I'm just so impressed with how they're being raised and their values and just watching them take small strides, things like that. So yeah, and I know your
that's
kids are
perfect.
probably the same way because they're being homeschooled, which means that you're getting to take the time to really invest in them. Um,
Hmm.
Being military, we did not homeschool because the DoD schools are pretty good.
Hmm.
And that gave me the chance while they were at school, especially when we lived overseas, to do volunteer work, to teach Army family team building, to teach resilience, so that when the kids came home after school, I was able to really invest in everything. And now I see that for them it helped. But I watch these kids that are being homeschooled now, and I think that is what it was like when my kids went to school, 10, 12, 15 years ago when they were much younger. So yeah, yeah, that's what
They're
it means.
definitely a different group. And
Yes.
I've never been more impressed by some of these homeschool kids that I know. So,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So some parents, I do believe, need to send their kids to school. They're
mhm.
just not.
And some families have to, and I super respect
Yeah.
that.
Yes. Yes.
But if
Totally.
you can homeschool, I'm always like, how can I help you do it?
And your program is at Deer Park, Homeland.
Yes,
Yes. As a
they
matter
are
of
my
fact,
biggest customer.
yeah, two of the homeschoolers that were here yesterday were like, I know her program. Oh my gosh, you're gonna get to talk to her. I was like, yeah, I sure am. And they were like,
Oh,
oh,
that's
how cool.
awesome.
Yeah, so they were very excited. They're taking your homeschool program and they're making it work. And I love that idea. So
I love like there's some pieces in my program that people will be like, it's really ambiguous. And I'm like, I did that on purpose.
yeah, yeah. No, they're here. She took a steer from us. We have some Angus cows and we had a little oopsie and she was like, "Okay, I want to try some of my homeschool studies with your steer." And I was like, "Okay, here he is." And he sees her and he's like, "Oh, there's my girl. There's my girl."
Oh, I
So,
love it.
and she has Cheetos. Yeah. Um, so so yeah, we're here in Deer Park. We're very lucky because we have your program to help our homeschool kids, which is very nice.
I
Very
I very much appreciate that. I love the community in Deer Park, and
yay.
they've been a wonderful, like I said, customer. But it's just the not just the customer part, but the way that they embrace what we're doing and
Yeah,
encourage the kids and connect the kids and stuff. It's been really wonderful.
yeah. Well, you're always welcome here at the ranch.
You know,
Come on down.
I need to come over to Deer Park. I have so many people
Yeah.
that I want to hang out with. So,
Look, you make a day. I'll set up a picnic table. We'll just we'll have all those homeschool kids here and you can just come hang out at the ranch. I'll show you how to make wool pellets
oh, I
and
would love that.
yeah, yeah.
I
Bring
can-
some wool.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right. Well, do you want to tell everyone where they can find you and how they can get pellets or get custom pellets done?
Sure. We're here in Deer Park, Washington, just north of Spokane, about 15, 20 minutes. Um, we have a small ranch. You're welcome on the ranch. You just have to let me know when you're coming. Um, let's see here. Well, you can find us on Facebook at Hoppin Ridge Ranch.
All
Um,
right. And I'll make sure I link that.
and we're on Instagram, Sheep of 5048. And if you just give us a call, our cell number is 509-944-5559. I'll be glad to talk to you. You can tell me what you need, and I'll help you out as much as I can.
Awesome. That is so great. Well, thank you so much for sharing, and I look forward to chatting soon.
Yeah, thank you. I look forward to chatting with you also. Are you going to the Modern Homestead Conference?
Yes.
Yes. All right, I'll see you there. I'll bring you some more
All right.
pellets. A big
Ooh,
bag this time.
I'm gonna stop. Thank you for joining me today at the Homestead Education, and I hope that I have given you something to think about this week. To help others find me, please comment and leave a review on your favorite podcast player. You can also follow me on Facebook at the Homestead Education and Instagram at homestead_education. Do you have questions that you would like answered or just want to say hi? Please email me at hello@thehomesteadeducation.com. Until next time, keep growing!